This is Min Chang, and I'm running for a school board, and we are here in front of SFUSD, and it's been a really tough week. Actually, it's been probably several tough months in terms of our schools, our district here, and so I want to spend some time in a little bit to kind of share my thoughts, but I want to first introduce the team from Yick Wo in terms of one of the schools that's really being impacted from a closure perspective. So if I could have both of them speak first, and then I'll come back and share some of my thoughts around school closures and in general.
Great, I'll have her speak. She speaks in Cantonese.
保留益和小學，keep 益庫，save 益庫。當初佢講咗
It's okay, keep going.
我哋全部我係新移民嚟嘅，我只係想浮一年多啲。當初我哋揀呢間小學有好多原因，包括最重要嘅係佢返學嘅時間。而家佢只係是但俾咗兩間小學，就話叫我哋過去，我哋好似孤兒仔咁樣。佢想掉我哋去邊，我哋就去邊。我完全唔知道佢個機制、佢個評分制度係點樣。我哋本身返9點幾，佢是但掉咗一間要返7點幾嘅。咁我哋作為家長係咪要辭職唔做嘢，就係去湊小朋友呢？跟住好啦 ，after school 嗰邊，我哋而家益烏係有好幾間嘅 after school support。咁嗰邊係咪又真係有咁多 after school support 呢？其中一間仲要係得4分。咁明我揀嗰陣時，我就係因為分數去揀益喎。咁但係而家你俾個更低分嘅我應該去點樣選擇？我哋而家就好似係孤兒咁樣咯，我哋根本就唔知可以點做。
That's good. You guys don't need a translation or anything, right? Okay, good. Okay. Here, let me use this. Hi, I'm Janice Lee. I'm a parent of a third grader at Yick Wo. I grew up in San Francisco. We immigrated here from Hong Kong when I was 4 years old. We lived in the SROs when we were young. I was with a single mother, and I was bused from now Gordon J. Lau, used to be called Commodore Stockton, to Raphael, now called Rosa Parks, when I was younger. We also, after school, they would bus me back to Gordon J. Lau for after-school programming. Now that my daughter is at Yick Wo at a very strong community school, I see the benefits of being in a neighborhood school. We can walk down the street and bump into other families. Just this past Monday on Indigenous Peoples Day, we went to the park and saw 2 additional families. I mean, this is a walking school. I chose this school. I gave up my dreams of immersion in other schools in District 3 because this was a very diverse school with 34% Asian, 23% mixed race, 20-something% white, something in the teens for Hispanics. So it's a very diverse school. This is a model school that we are looking to create, and we're trying to desegregate, not segregate, okay? When we applied, this school was a 9. It was a blue ribbon school. And we chose this school because of all the additional programs that it had, dance, gardening, music, and the parent community is very involved. This will turn the lives of many families around. There's a lot of immigrant families who are unable to speak, and they are unable to come and voice their opinions because they're working 2 to 3 jobs. We are being disproportionately affected in District 3, and the kids deserve to stay in District 3 and in the neighborhood schools. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, actually, I have one more thing I want to add.
Please.
There are 74 elementary schools in San Francisco. There are only 6 that have special day classes. Yick Wo has 2 special day classes. If you look at the map, there would be a hole at that corner of the city if Yick Wo was closed. How do you move kids who are welcomed and integrated into general day classes into a different school further away and send us to schools that start at 7:50 or 8:40 when we chose a school that starts at 9:30. It turns the lives of everyone around.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Janice. Yeah, so thank you both. I just have some brief remarks. So first off is, when I started my campaign back in April, one of the things that we wanted to do and that I wanted to do was actually go and visit a lot of the schools. So I had a chance to visit many of our 120 schools. I also had a chance to talk to principals, to teachers, to students, and we also met a lot of people along the way in terms of farmers markets, events, cafes. And so I've done a lot of listening, and I've learned a lot. And so what I want to share with you are 4 specific things that I've learned and my reactions or solutions, if you will, to those 4 things. So the first thing I've learned, and it's become so clear in the past week or so, is that closing schools is not the answer. There's a lot of passion, there's a lot of anger, there's a lot of sadness in the community right now in terms of the schools that are on that list. And I would say it goes beyond the schools that are actually on that list. It's across the board in terms of all the schools we have in the district. And so instead of closing schools, what I'm proposing is we look at other ways to fix the fiscal crisis. There are other means, alternative solutions in growing revenue, in reducing costs, especially in central office, looking at the assets that the school district actually owns across the district, as well as looking at lines of credit. There's a whole bunch of things we should look at first. First and foremost, do our homework, do the hard lift, and make sure that we do that first before we look at anything close to looking at the schools themselves. So that's point number 1. Oh, one other thing. What this does in terms of closing schools, it actually drives parents away from San Francisco because, as you heard from Janice, one of the reasons that she decided to stay here and go to the school is because specifically of Yick Wo and what it offers. And so for many of the schools on that list, parents actually chose those schools deliberately and very thoughtfully. And so these are small schools, many of them specialty schools that have classes in civil rights, that really have special ed classes. So those are really important. They're the lifeblood of our community, and we need to keep them. So that's point number 1. Point number 2 is once we fix the fiscal crisis, we can actually turn our attention to some of the areas that are gaps in our school district. And that means curriculum. It means beefing up our core subjects. It means supporting our educators. It means fixing our infrastructure. It means really making sure that schools are actually safe. But we can't do any of those things until we actually fix the fiscal crisis. So that's really important. The third piece, which is also very important, is the current board right now, I feel like, is a lame duck board. And what do I mean by that? What I mean is the people are going to elect new board members, and they will be installed in January. And it's only a few months from now. And so my proposal is let's not do any of these things until the new board is in place, and so that the people in San Francisco actually elect on the board get a chance to actually help determine whether or not we even need to close schools. So I think it's really important at this stage to not have the current board, make that decision, actually to wait until the new board is in place. And lastly, I just want to say that it's really important to work with the community. What I've also learned in traveling and listening and meeting people is that the community actually has a lot of great answers, a lot of great solutions, and we should leverage that. We should leverage the community as an asset and really work very closely with the community to come up with the right solutions. So thank you very much, and I hope that we can keep all these schools open in our district. Thanks.